Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the session. We're waiting for one more speaker to join, but it looks like we have a really good audience at the moment, so we're probably good to start. We're already at 12:33 my time. Is everyone ready to get started? Perfect. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to host our very first ever committees update session at MA Connect. This gives all of our committees a chance to review their goals, what they've been focused on this year, and where they are headed for the remaining part of this year. The committees, in case you are not already aware, stay very active all year round, helping to fulfill the mission of the board and execute projects and programs that the board advises. Each committee varies in size, and each has at least one board liaison who helps tie in the board's focus within the committee. We really are grateful to our committees for all their hard work and their dedication to the Magento Association. Each committee spokesperson on this session will have a chance to speak across our 5 committees. And if we have time at the end, we will open it up for Q&A. So feel free to use the chat or your Q&A section for your questions. How we'll run the session today is that we'll start with hearing from Jamie Huskisson from the Events Committee, then Sonal Puri from Diversity and Inclusion, Brent Peterson from the Membership Committee, Mani Faruqi from the Content Committee, and last but not least, Tyler Jensen from the Elections Committee. Jamie, please get started. Keep in mind, all of our speakers, please let us know when you need the next slide and we will help you advance. Thank you.
Thank you, Marsha. Thank you. Vijay, over to the next slide. Over to the next one. There we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Huskisson. So I'm from the Adobe Commerce Agency, JH. I'm also the Events Committee Chair and also the organizer of Meet Magento UK. So everybody you see here forms the rest of our wonderful events committee. If you don't know already, they're formed of a bunch of seasoned veterans in the space. So I believe I'm the newbie on the block in this list, by comparison with being so much wonderful experience on the show. We got Marsha with Meet Magento New York, Maladi with Indonesia, Vijay with India, Vlad with Romania, and of course the additional experience of Eric and Sonia, who do such a great job from the board perspective of just, anchoring us and making sure that we're getting the support we need. So it's also worth noting all 5 of us are running an event this year. So it's we're leading from the front, really doing what we can and everything else. So our email address is up here if you've got ideas, things you want to talk about, things to link in together, or something that I say is interesting today. Let us know. It goes to all of us so we can all reply, but we also all just really like seeing the feedback and everything else. So, Vijay, next slide. Our mission written here really is to empower and enable Magento community events worldwide. We don't limit the scope of this to Meet Magento events, albeit right now that's primarily what we're focused on. But our ambition is to empower events that include Magento but aren't specifically limited to it. So things like ReactCon, Hoover Camp, whole bunch of other different things that go on that are doing such a wonderful job within our ecosystem and helping all of the members here and everything else. We want to make sure we can cover as many as possible, but we also want to cover from the big conferences all the way to the kind of smaller meetups and just try and enable the success wherever we can, because we firmly believe that all events should be supported, and if Magento is a point of reference in that event, it deserves the association's support and it deserves the committee's support too. So if we do that, the association as an association, the ecosystem will only continue to grow further and further, and I think that's what we all like to see. So next slide. This year there's been a lot of downtime, naturally. I'm not going to say it out loud as to why, we all know why. But from events not happening until kind of recent months and what feels like the past decade, but has only been a couple of years, our focus really has been on consistency of meetings. It's been revamping the way we do agendas, having recordings of all of our meetings and documented agendas and meeting notes, which may sound boring, but is revolutionary in terms of going, did we say that 3 months ago, and just keeping ourselves on track. We're also making sure that if you apply to run an event, you get a far quicker feedback system than you did previously, and approval and disapproval quickly with full reasoning, not just a simple yes, no, which it was perhaps 9 months ago, 12 months ago. We're also talking to many event organizers that haven't had an event in a while, again, naturally, checking in with them, seeing what their plans are, really just planning out into the future and seeing what we have coming up. So there's a whole bunch of people really energized by our efforts, and what we're talking about people that are in new countries too, not just the countries you've seen in the past. So we're really, really excited to see that coming through. Next slide. Going forward, we're really just doubling the pace of our meetings, smashing through our roadmap, which is extensive. We have more and more ideas as the time goes by, but we're really focusing on expanding out our toolkit for organizers, from the website and venue designed assets to prepared contracts, T's and C's, code of conduct, speaker agreements, any other assets that help organizers do more in less time to help them do better events than they could without them. We're also looking at how we can help with speaker sourcing, coaching in the community, hopefully helping more and more new speakers come through and be ready for those events. Really, we're trying to focus on lowering the barrier of entry for all organizers, but also just level up everybody across the board at the same time. So, you know, myself, I've shared for 5 years now, all of the assets I've had for Meet Magenta UK with any organizer who wants them. And as a committee, we're really keen to see that expand further and have other people send across their things and share their bits as well. Doesn't mean we're forcing guidelines saying you absolutely have to use this website, etc. It's really just about, again, helping you get from 0 to 50, 0 to 100 quicker than you would without them, and lowering the cost of investment so that hopefully more and more events appear, because that's exactly what we want to see happen. So next slide of my final bit here, we've got a whole bunch of events that are coming up. Next slide, VJ. There you go. We've got a whole bunch of events that have already happened in 2022, and we've got a whole bunch of events approaching. There are, I think, 10, maybe 15 events that we know are happening but don't have a date and can't fit on this one slide. But, you know, that's hopefully what you're hearing is excitement and anticipation of these new events coming out, because there's a lot of wonderful things to be announced. So coming back in force for sure. Well, that's me. Thanks for listening to me today, and hope you enjoy the rest.
Thank you so very much, Jamie. It looks like the events committee is incredibly active, as we have been right from the start of the Meet Magenta Association. Appreciate your time. Up next, we have Sonal Puri from Diversity and Inclusion. Hello, Sonal.
Hey, Martha. How are you, Marsha?
Oh, nice. Good. Thank you.
I'm actually working from home, so my setup is a little different, and I can't seem to find the blur icon for the background, so you guys get to see my master bedroom.
Well, thanks for welcoming us into your home.
It's
nice to see you.
My home is your home. I think we're going to be spending a lot of time together. So thank you all.
Vijay is helping us with slide share right now, so just inform him when you need the next slide. Vijay, we can move on to something else.
Awesome. Thank you, Vijay. So quick introduction. The D&I committee is something that we all joined early last year. I think we've been in it for more than a year now. There is an email address if you all have any questions, concerns. This email goes out to all of us, so you could reach out, and happy to address any issues. We've actually had some interesting issues come up to our attention, and we've worked on some interesting projects. So appreciate you all being transparent and reaching out and asking for help. There's a couple of pending issues I know some of you may have that you may bring up at the Q&A. Just please know that I haven't responded to them yet, because we're trying to figure out the best way to deal with those kind of prickly issues that we want to get in front of. So my name is Sonal Puri. I'm the chair of the D&I committee. Again, I guess I stand for D&I in many different ways, as you can imagine. We have a really interesting group. Marsha, who's our moderator, is on the committee as well. Watsal contributing intensely from India, and through his consultancy and his love for Magento, really love working with him. Jenna has been great and very, very supportive, and Sonia is sort of our voice of reason and brings a lot of knowledge and experience to the team. I think this team is probably a group of really outspoken people that can get together in a room and solve some difficult and interesting problems using data and using perspective and our own experiences. So it's been fun. And we really appreciate the opportunity to serve on the committee. And then how can I forget Jacqueline? She's been really, really helpful in keeping us all in check from Smith & Buckland. So Jacqueline, appreciate all your help for the past year and a half. Next slide, Vijay, please. Great. So what are the goals of D&I? It's very difficult to define, what are the goals for D&I? It is obviously having a flavor of diversity and inclusion on every front. And we've tried to do that. So we've tried to do that across, different points of view. We've tried to do it within the committees. Diversity means many different things to us. So, we've thought of diversity of membership. So let's talk about diversity, inclusion of membership. And that doesn't just mean gender. That doesn't just mean, people of color. That actually means regions and representation from different geographies. It means representation across technology vendors and agencies and, individual developers or merchants, and diversity of that as well, because we really need the voice for all of these people to be the voice that leads us forward. Meet Magento events, speaker selection. We've had some interesting experiences of our own, and I think we brought that to the table as we selected speakers for some of those events. We'll talk about the projects we worked on. Diversity within the committees itself. So, in like every organization like this, there's the insiders and there's the outsiders, and it's very difficult for the outsiders to get a voice within the inside. And we've tried to really change that in the way that we can impact these committees. Diversity within task force. So there was the election task force, there was the board task force, there was the open task force, as you all are very familiar with. So that's been fun, and we love what we've been able to do there. I won't read out the charter, but it really helps you understand what is the purpose of the D&I committee, and how we can identify opportunities, how we can get resources. Keep in mind, these organizations are all volunteers, so all of us are. And I want to thank everybody that's been on the committee with us. It's all volunteer. We spend a lot of time, and we really care. That's why we show up, and have this this committee to be a leader in the industry along with the rest of the Magento Association's priorities. So really excited. Vijay, next slide, please. So this slide has been a fun one to build. The number keeps changing. The last time. So when I saw the first version of this slide somewhere in early last year, where we were trying to figure out how to size up the agency and how to look at the demographics, I believe we had 1,600 members. And so this slide had an icon that said 1,600 members and the countries and the geographies and the roles and the company focus and so on. Last week, the Magento Association site had 2,600 or 2,800 members. And this morning, when I look at the slide, it's 3,100. So anyone who says Magento is dying and there's not enough people in the community, take a look. The number of community members, the people that truly care, has been going up, and I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of that. So we are 3,100 community members, and I appreciate every one of you and your help, and your involvement in the community overall. Geography-wise, I can't even name 68 countries, let alone the fact that we have people that are possibly on this call that are from 68 different countries across 6 continents. It's exciting. We talked about the demographics and the diversity across the demographics. So you'll notice 61% of people are agencies. Representation across, merchants, technology providers, Adobe themselves, and other is not as much as it is in agencies, which sort of makes sense because, let's face it, the association and all the members and the developers are the ones who actually built Magento. So it makes sense that you care about the future of it. But that's our breakdown. Love to see more distribution across merchants and tech providers and the industry broadly. along with our agency friends who are helping out. And then if you look on the other side across job roles, you've got engineers, executive management, mostly engineers, which means this is an effective community. It's not a bunch of execs like me who are showing up and waving our arms and trying to tell you how to do things. Business and e-commerce, technology executives at the technical level, really building solutions for this market. And then some sales, biz dev, some marketing, some designers and other. Would love more diversity in that as well. But I think it's for the kind of community we're trying to build and what we're trying to do, it's really great that the people that are hands-on are the ones that are owning and running this community. Vijay, next slide. So last 12 months, I have to say, this was an interesting project because there were so many things that we had participated in, so much information that we had reviewed and approved or commented on or edited. And then there were the big projects. So I focused on the big projects in the last 12 months, the ones that you all, are seeing the impact. So let's talk about the analysis. This was a pretty large project. We had to go through the entire install base of the community. And I have to say this data is probably a little dated because we did it when we were about 2,000 members and now the numbers have gone up. We, like I spoke earlier, D&I for us meant race and gender, of course, meant location and geography, meant the role within the organization. So we don't want all executives and we don't want all developers. We want a nice mix of them so we can represent the future of the platform better. Type of organization, so whether it is, like I said, agencies or it's tech providers or it's, it's large, even companies like, that are in the larger community that are contributing to the environment, those would be really great to have. We spent, I think, 2 or 3 meetings on the open source task force selection, and we used extensive data. So, a list of names came out, and of course, we presented a bigger list, and then it was shortlisted and then, published. There's a blog that outlines exactly how we went through the journey. We used extensive data in the selection process. That was the most fun part of it, is we looked at how engaged have people been. So there's, like I said, right, insiders and outsiders. There's people whose names you hear all the time. There's engagement in that work. But what does the open source task force mean? It means people who are willing to roll up their sleeves and do the work. And so we went through engagement. We went through contribution in GitHub, how many pushes into the community, how many, how much engagement in Twitter. And then we also looked at diversity. The unfortunate part was we just could not find enough people to push our sort of gender agenda or role and region agenda or type agenda. So there was still a concentration, and I would encourage all of you, the next go around, when we are selecting these groups, please put your name in the hat, put your hat in the ring, and we would love to have those names to review. Reviewing content with key 4 pillars of Magento Association, those were faster projects. Selection of the election committee, focusing on D&I. Again, there was not a lot of choice on the diversity side, and I wish there was, and I wish we had done a better job. But we did the best with what we had, and we want to encourage all of you that it's a pretty level playing field at this point. And then speaker selection, again, try to focus on D&I, got some good information, and would love to do more of that. And then recommendation, how do we improve membership? How do we get more people signed up? Again, with a focus on diversity. Vijay, next slide.
Thank you so much, Sonal. I'm so sorry. This is such important content, but I need to make sure the other 3 committees have time. Do you mind if we move on and we can come back if we have time at the end?
I'm done. We're good.
Thank you.
Hi, Brent. My name is, hi. Vijay, next slide. My name is Brent Peterson. I'm the chairperson for the membership committee. And the membership committee has worked with all the other committees by employing the mission of the Meet Magento Association to help increase membership. So we've worked with the diversity committee to help increase the diversity of our membership. We've worked with events to help all those members be part of the events. And we meet monthly. So myself as a chairperson, Noah, Matthew, Ramesh, Mundit, Tyler, Danny, and Andrew have been meeting monthly for more than a year now, helping to shape what will be to come and how we're growing our membership for Meet Magento. Association. So next slide. So our big accomplishments this year have been, number one, the Patreon. If anybody has seen, we've employed a paid membership model, and we've had more than 300 people already become paid members. What this has given everybody is a voice in our community to vote on the new board that's coming up. We were very conscious of making sure that membership was affordable for the entire world for the Magento Association, to make sure that we were representing every part of the world, and that to make sure that that everybody has a voice. In that, there are sponsorships available to members to people who would like to become a member. And that will help everybody have a voice without any barrier for pay. The Patreon model, or the Patreon project I've been working on, has been quite an undertaking. And again, thanks to Jacqueline for helping to get all that done. Thanks to Smith Buckland for getting that done. 342 paid members as of today, with 3,100 members that are still in the free. So I implore you, please join today. If anybody lives in the US, they know the NPR drives. We don't have a free tote bag, but who knows what's coming soon. The membership has already voted for the new board members. So that's the exciting part of this. What's coming next? We have company tiers for Patreon. And again, I just want to stress, there are already companies that are sponsoring their employees and people who can't afford to join. There's that, but there's going to be the next tier of companies that are going to be helping to bring more membership to our community. We will have member benefits coming up, and there'll be a more definitive paid membership model in a phase 2. And again, as Jamie started out with, we meet monthly. We are working on having our meetings all recorded along with notes, so you can see what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brent. We appreciate the update. We are low on time, so Manny, you have the floor. Thank you. Next slide, please, Vijay.
Manny, you need to unmute.
Manny, I'm not sure that you heard that. Could you unmute, please? If Manny has some trouble with audio, how about we move over to Tyler, and we'll come back to you, Manny. Vijay, if you could advance slides, please.
Thank you, Marcia. I know we are short on time, so I will be quick. We launched the election committee earlier this year, and in a short amount of time, I believe we have gotten a lot done. The election committee consists of Andreas, James, Jerome, Joseph, Mudit, Tink, Slava, and myself. We've had some stuff come into the electioncom@Magento Association email address, so please keep that coming in. We kind of started this process from scratch, so we welcome ideas. Next slide. When we started meeting, we were assigned 2 very specific tasks from the board. Fill 3 board seats with 2 types of election processes, and based on what we learned through these 2 types of election processes, recommend a future election process for the association. We have been working on executing these 2 types of election processes. First, the direct election, which will seat 1 new board member, and second, the slate election, which will seat 2 new board members. To date, we have accomplished getting everything up and running for the direct election, including drafting all of the application questions and organizing the method and process for the direct election. The direct election is now complete, and you will get to hear today who the new board member is during the closing town hall. We have also outlined the process for the slate election, including drafting the interview questions, and are going to get started on that this week. We expect to complete the slate process by July, August, and then have 2 new board members who will hopefully join the board later this year. After completing the slate election, we will have a good idea on how this all worked and how we would adjust for future years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Manny.
I can hear me, guys?
Perfect. We hear you, Manny. Thanks for getting
Awesome.
back to us.
Awesome. Thank you. Next slide, please. I'm going to make it really quick. That's our team, actually. I'm right there. Damien, Sonia, Alessandro, John, and Heritu. Next slide, please. Well, content committee, actually, we've been together for the last 12 months now. And we are kind of people behind all the content and all the newsletter, blog, and podcast activity for the Magento Association. Recently, you might have seen that we have highlighted the issue of Ukraine and reached out to our members and everyone that how companies are supporting people in our fraternity, actually, Magento fraternity in Ukraine. And then in blogs, actually, if you see, we have recently highlighted all the best tools and extensions which are available, as well as we are also highlighting the tech and the e-commerce and all the new you can say rollouts from Adobe, which was the recently rolled out in April was 2.4.4. And last but not the least was our podcast, actually, which we have recently launched like a few months ago. And if you look it up on our website, it's pretty good, actually, content to listen to, and it's available for everyone. And if you have any questions or any inquiries or any suggestions, please reach out to our email address, and we'll try to accommodate your suggestions and your your answer your inquiry if you have one. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Jamie, Sonal, Tyler, Manny, and Brent. I don't see any questions, but feel free to reach out to each of the committees if you have any, and you will share slides as well. Again, all of the individuals on all of these committees assist on a volunteer basis, so we are so very grateful. Thank you all for joining this session. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.